Hello again. This is David Ellis with David's Garden, a self-activation podcast. How about that for an intro, guys? Making moves. Anyways, today I'm going to be talking about how giving is the root to infinite growth. However contradictory that may seem, giving is actually the root. And of course, give and ye shall receive. Is scripture, but I'm going to break it down for you as to how that works and how that's not just something that you should believe to be true, but that you should know to be true, as a mechanism and as a structure function of the reality that we live in. As a function of the reality that is built on love. And so here we go. I was building a program and I showed it to someone who had made an impact in my life. And I didn't receive a lot of feedback from that person. They kind of shut down, and I didn't know why. I thought I was proud of what I showed them about the program, and I was proud about what I showed them. But at the same time, there was some kind of reservation, right? And I didn't know what. And it turned out later on, they had felt a sense of copying that I was just taking what they had been doing. And a part of this was that, in some ways I had taken some of what I had learned from them and made it my own, which is the process of any artist, of any person in this world. We're taking what we see, what works in this world. A lot of doctors go into the medical field because of something that worked for them, right? A doctor made an impact on their life. They changed the outcome of a family illness, right? And truly impacted their life in a positive way. So they go into the medical field. It's not an act of betrayal to want to learn how to become more of that person that impacted their life. It's an act of honor, right? And what happened in that scenario, in my scenario, was it was not that I had taken something that I had valued so deeply and wanted to make it a part of my own. And it was mine. I created it, but there were elements of what I had learned from this person that I wanted to utilize, because I knew that there was nothing deeper. There was nothing more important to my life than this process. And so for me not to use that would be a betrayal to the ones I tried to help. It would not be honoring the process that actually helped me, right? So I had to use it. I had to take aspects and make it my own. It's not plagiarizing, it's honoring, and it's a part of the artistic process to see things that are beautiful, right? And to ingest them and to digest them and to absorb them into who we are, so that we can produce something that comes out of our own creative process in a new way. And it may reflect something. I mean, it's music, it's poetry, it's art, it's whatever. Everything is a reflection of the people that came before us that allows us to produce something new. But in that moment, that person was afraid that if I took what they had produced, that would make her lesser. That would make that person lesser in her ability. And Nothing could be further from the truth. And this brings us to the point of giving is the route to growth. Because in that moment in which you have the ability to share what you know, but you're afraid that others will take it and make it their own and and steal what you believe is yours. If you decide not to share with the world, you're actually limiting your impact in the world. You're actually reducing the amount of growth that you can experience. And in that moment, it's not the self in love that is prohibiting that person from sharing her gifts. It's the ego that is causing that person to feel threatened by what I have produced in correlation to what this person had produced. The ego wants power. The ego wants to accumulate and store and reserve for itself because it fears that if other people take what's theirs, that it will no longer exist. The ego wants to survive, and if you share with the world, the ego cannot survive. The barrier between you and another person has been destroyed. And so by not sharing, you're supporting the ego's desires. By not sharing, you maintain the safety of that bubble, that what's yours is yours and it shall not be shared, and you'll accumulate based on what you want to give based on what you receive from what you have, never having given all of what you are to the world so that others can do the same and replicate it. The ego maintains based on reservation of resources. The ego stays put. Now, on the other hand, giving to the world, such as giving a child to the world, giving after 9 months of incubation, giving art to the world, poetry, music, anything to the world, after developing and honing your craft and creating something that you believe is beautiful and good and giving that into the world. And yes, maybe people look at it and they're impacted. Oh, God forbid people are impacted by your work and they want to, and they're inspired by it and they want to become more like that which opened their eyes. That would be such a terrible thing. No, it wouldn't. But when you give these things that you create, of course it's yours. You went through the arduous process of creating this wonderful thing, and the problem with creation is that a lot of people are already doubting themselves they can, and so they don't. But it's the act of the creation process that develops you as a person, so that it's not just that you create something, it's that you can create something. Because you become someone that can create. And then when you give it, that's a part of you, that's an integral part of you that you're giving into the world, that nobody else can take away from. Nobody can take away from who you become in the act of creation. And when you give it into the world, what you're saying is, you know what? I believe that when I give what I have created into the world, I am not lesser, but I am passing on the love that I have received from this process. And maybe I do inspire somebody else. Maybe I do change someone's life from this process. And there are neurological and scientific processes that occur from this act of giving. When you give and you share, you're actually building neurons in the brain. You're growing neurons. It's a neurogenesis. It's a neurogenetic. Maybe that's not the right word, but it's neurogenesis. So you're building neurons in the brain and in the heart too, to know and connecting the heart, because you know that when you are giving this and you are supporting someone else and they're inspired by this, you become inspired too. You feel more in love, and that develops you that increases your ability to produce. You're more likely to produce. You're going to produce more because of that desire to give and to give and to give and to give. You don't become lesser because of your giving. You become greater. And the more you give and the more you're willing to send into the world, the more you realize that we are not here to stop the flow of energy. Whatever you create is not anything that you specifically are doing, but it's what you're allowing to flow through you. It's your life it's your life and your experiences, what you experience as a person, that contributes to your creative process. You then become the messenger for what needs to flow through you. And if you stop it, you're prohibiting energy flow. You're prohibiting the interconnectedness of all things. And you believe that and you will believe that you are different from somebody else, and so you're going to accumulate and hoard, when in reality, having given all that you are into the world just continues the process of allowing love to flow generously as it should. And so the more you give, the more you shall receive. Because you don't become someone that created one thing and it stops. You become someone who can create things. And you create things not because you want to accumulate things, but because you love the process of creation. You're making the world a better place. You're healing. You are sending love into the world as you have received love. And you are reminding people that the courage it takes to release everything you are, everything you thought you were, into the world is what makes the world a better place. It's what makes the world full of love, is what makes the world worth living and fighting for. And so I guess the message today is to understand the things in your life that you're holding for yourself, out of fear of what happens if they're gone. Because the more that we hold to ourselves to prepare for one day, in case we don't have those things, the less we know about ourselves. Because now with those things, we believe that we cannot exist without them. And when you give and you give and you give and you just keep releasing things into the fire, you realize that beyond that which you can see is everything that is. And that we are all the same underneath these layers of ego. And to get to the bottom of it is to realize that there is nothing in this universe except for love. And there's nothing greater of a sacrifice than to give yourself to the world so that you can experience what that's like. So thank you for listening today. May you have the courage to understand what resources you're holding on to. The courage to understand how to dive deep into yourself, into your stories, to look into your stories with courage and know that on the other side of that looking is yourself. Is the version of you that just wants to be acknowledged, that just needs attention, that just needs love. And it's not able to receive love if it's so distracted by these things of this world. So thank you for listening. Thank you for your support. Let me know what let me know what you think. Sorry. And I'm just so grateful to be able to do these. I hope these make an impact, and if not, well, let me know what you would like for me to talk about, and I will gladly talk about them. Anyways, thank you. Talk soon, and God bless.